The mind, your greatest ally or your worst enemy. Your mind is the most powerful tool you possess. It can help you overcome harsh challenges, transform suffering into strength, and turn dreams into reality. But that very same mind, if left unchecked, can become your most dangerous enemy, pulling you into the abyss of anxiety, doubt, and insecurity. Have you ever felt imprisoned by your own thoughts? The small voices in your head constantly remind you of past mistakes, paint worst-case scenarios for the future, and make you fearful even when there is no real threat. The Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." His words capture the essence of Stoicism, a philosophy that teaches us how to find serenity amidst life's storms. Stoicism trains us to master our minds, ensuring they do not become shackles that restrain us, but instead powerful allies that propel us forward. So, how does the mind become an enemy? When the mind turns against you, have you ever asked yourself, how does my mind become my enemy? One day, you wake up feeling exhausted and disheartened. Inside your head, the same thoughts keep repeating. I'm not good enough. I will fail. They hate me. These words don't come from anyone else. They come from you, from your own mind. The scary part is that these thoughts don't just pass by. They creep into every decision and every action, gradually shaping your life. When you believe you're not good enough, you don't dare to try. When you think you'll fail, you don't even want to start. When you assume that everyone hates you, you isolate yourself before anyone else even has the chance to. And so, the cycle continues, turning you into your own worst enemy, the self-destructive nature of negative thoughts. Imagine you are a talented athlete with an opportunity to compete in an important event. However, instead of focusing on training, you are consumed by thoughts like, I'm not good enough, others are certainly better than me. You spend more time worrying than practicing. When the day of the competition arrives, you step up to the starting line with a mind full of self-doubt. In the end, you fail not because you lack ability, but because you convinced yourself that you couldn't win. Do you see the problem here? You weren't defeated by your opponents, circumstances, or luck. Your own mind defeated you. The human mind is like fertile soil. If you plant positive seeds, they will grow into motivation, confidence, and determination. But if you sow negative thoughts, they will spread like weeds, draining your energy and turning you into a prisoner of your own mind. One of the most destructive ways negative thinking affects people is through self-sabotage. When you have the ability but refuse to step out of your comfort zone, when you have opportunities but hesitate, when fear paralyzes you so much that you withdraw before the game even begins. This is the danger of a mind that has turned against itself. It doesn't need anyone else to hurt you. You do it yourself. Why negative thoughts take root. Have you ever wondered why negativity takes hold so easily in our minds? The answer lies in our brain's natural tendency to focus more on threats than opportunities. This survival mechanism helped our ancestors remain alert to dangers, ensuring they lived long enough to pass on their genes. But in the modern world, fear is no longer a lion hiding in the jungle. Instead, it appears in the form of criticism, judgmental glances, and anxiety about the future. We believe our negative thoughts because they feel real. We confuse emotions with reality. Just because you feel like you're not good enough doesn't mean you truly lack ability. Just because you think you'll fail doesn't mean failure is certain. But if you believe these thoughts, your actions will reflect them until they become your reality. The key to preventing your mind from becoming your enemy is learning to detach, freeing yourself from negative thoughts. Stoic philosophy teaches an important principle. You are not your thoughts. When a negative thought arises, don't immediately believe it. Instead, observe it like a passing cloud in the sky. Ask yourself, is this really true? Is there any evidence for it? Or is this just my fear speaking? Marcus Aurelius once said, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it. And this you have the power to revoke at any moment. You have the power to shift your perspective. Replace 'I'm not good enough' with 'I am still growing.' Replace 'I will definitely fail' with 'I might fail, but I will learn something from it.' Your mind can be your worst enemy, but it can also be your greatest ally. It all depends on how you treat it. If you take control of your thoughts, you'll no longer be held back by the invisible limitations you impose on yourself. Remember this. You may not be able to control everything in life, but you can always control how you think about it. And that will change everything. Worrying about what you cannot control. There are days when your mind seems to turn against you. Wandering thoughts pull you into a loop of anxiety and fear. You drown in old memories, replaying conversations over and over, wondering if you said something wrong, if someone is judging you. You worry about scenarios that haven't even happened yet, imagining every possible outcome in your head, allowing unease to take over every moment. The more you think, the more exhausted you become. Without any external force acting upon you, your own doubts and worries can erode your confidence, holding you back from moving forward. Stoicism has a core principle. We should only focus on what we can control. But have you truly realized that? Or are you still wasting your precious energy on things beyond your influence? The story of Cain, a mind turned against itself. Take a look at Cain. Cain is a perfectionist. He always wants to be liked and appreciated by others. Every time he steps into a conversation, he carefully chooses his words, fearing that even a small misstep might upset someone. After every meeting, he asks himself, "Did I say something wrong? Was my boss satisfied with me? Do they think I'm useless?" These thoughts aren't fleeting. They become an endless loop. They chip away at Cain's confidence, making him lose himself. He tries to please everyone, but this only leaves him drained. He worries about reactions he cannot control, and in doing so, he forgets the most important thing. The only thing he can do is give his best. Cain doesn't realize that he cannot control other people's thoughts or emotions. He can do his job well and speak with sincerity, but how others respond is not within his grasp. By worrying too much about this, he has unknowingly turned his mind into a ruthless enemy, one that constantly whispers, "You're not good enough. You need to do more to be accepted." Are you like Cain? Ask yourself, have you ever stayed awake at night wondering what others think of you? Have you ever spent hours worrying about an event, only for it to unfold completely differently from what you imagined? Have you ever let fear consume you so much that you hesitated to make a decision? Let me tell you the truth. Every moment spent worrying about something beyond your control is a waste of time and energy. You cannot control what others think of you, but you can control how you respond. You cannot ensure that everything in life goes smoothly, but you can control how you face challenges. You cannot prevent all criticism, but you can control how you perceive it as a lesson rather than a wound. Epictetus, one of the great Stoic philosophers, once said, "Make the best use of what is in your power and take the rest as it happens." This doesn't mean ignoring life or suppressing your emotions. It means realizing that you have the power to choose where to focus your energy instead of worrying about what others think. Ask, am I staying true to my values? Instead of fearing what hasn't happened yet, ask, what can I do right now to prepare as best as possible? Instead of getting caught up in things you cannot control, ask, what truly matters to me? There is incredible power in letting go. When you stop trying to control what you cannot, you will feel lighter. You will no longer be trapped in the cycle of anxiety. Instead, you'll direct your energy toward things that truly matter. Your mind, a prison or your liberation. Your mind is not your enemy, But if you don't learn to manage it, it can become a prison. The first step to freeing yourself from that prison is accepting that some things are beyond your control. And that's completely okay. Once you do, you will realize something profound. You have conquered yourself. Breaking free from the past and the future. Imagine standing at the edge of a cliff. Below you, an abyss stretches into the unknown. There is no wind, no sound, only the pounding of your heartbeat echoing in your chest. You know that your next step could change everything. But instead of moving forward, you stand there paralyzed. Not because the cliff is too high, but because your mind is pulling you back to an old memory, the time you felt painfully in the past, or worse, it drags you into the future, painting a dark scenario of what could happen if you fail again. This is how your mind betrays you. It holds you hostage to the past or the future, while the present, the only thing you truly have, slips through your fingers. We suffer more in imagination than in reality. Seneca's words ring like a wake-up call. We suffer more in imagination than in reality. How many times have you feared something that never actually happened? How many times have you tormented yourself with past mistakes, as if replaying them in your mind would somehow change anything? History is full of people imprisoned by their own thoughts. Take Thomas Edison, for example. When he was young, Edison was fired from his first job for being too absent-minded. Not only that, but he failed thousands of times before successfully inventing the light bulb. If Edison had drowned in shame, if he had allowed his past failures to define him, if he had given up, humanity might have taken decades longer to progress. The past cannot be changed. No matter how many times you think about it, you cannot turn back time to fix it. So why let it control you? The fear of the future. Just as many are trapped in the past, others are imprisoned by fear of the future. A student fears failing an exam, so instead of focusing on studying, he drowns in anxiety and achieves nothing. An entrepreneur is so afraid of failure that he never dares to start his business. Someone refuses to love again for fear of getting hurt. But pause for a moment and ask yourself, how many times in your life have you worried about something, only to realize later that it wasn't as bad as you imagined? The truth is, our minds tend to exaggerate fear, making it seem far scarier than reality. And while you're drowning in the past or the future, what are you missing? The only time you truly own. Marcus Aurelius, one of Rome's greatest emperors, once wrote in Meditations, "No one can lose either the past or the future. How could anyone be deprived of what he does not possess? The past no longer exists. The future has not yet arrived. The only thing you truly own is this moment right now." Take a hard look at yourself. Are you truly living, or just existing? Are you experiencing your life, or are you merely a time traveler, stuck between two destinations you can never reach? How to take control of your mind. There is one question that Stoics often ask themselves. Is this within my control? If the answer is no, then why waste energy worrying about it? If the answer is yes, then take action, instead of letting your mind spiral into chaos. In the next section, we will explore practical Stoic techniques to help you take control of your mind. Stop living in the past or the future. Focus on what truly matters, the present moment. But before we continue, if you find this content meaningful, make a commitment to yourself. Acknowledge that you will take charge of your mind rather than letting it control you. Mastering your thoughts. Have you ever felt like your mind is a battlefield? A place where negative thoughts, anxiety, and insecurity constantly attack. You want to focus, but your thoughts drift like uncontrollable waves. Perhaps you've tried to push those thoughts away, but the more you try to forget them, the more they haunt you. The truth is, you cannot control your mind if you are not aware of it. It's like a river. If you get carried away by the current, you won't know where you are headed. But if you stand on the shore and observe, you can see the water flowing, understand how it moves, and most importantly, you are no longer controlled by it. Step 1. Become aware of your thoughts. Your mind is a complex entity. If you are not mindful, it can become your greatest enemy. Negative thoughts, fears, and doubts can creep in without you even realizing it. They operate like silent intruders affecting your emotions, actions, and even your entire life. But pause for a moment. Are you really your thoughts? Step 1. Become aware of your thoughts. Have you ever woken up with the thought, "Today is going to be a terrible day"? If you're unaware of this thought, you might believe it and start your day feeling discouraged. But if you observe it, you can pause and ask yourself, "Wait a minute. This is just a passing thought. It doesn't define me. I have the power to choose how I perceive today." Self-awareness is not about preventing negative thoughts from appearing. That's impossible. Instead, it's about taking a step back and observing your thoughts rather than being swept away by them. You can't control the external world, but you can control how you respond to it. And that begins with observing what happens in your mind. How can you train yourself to observe your thoughts? The answer is simple. Write them down. Spend a few minutes each day recording your thoughts in a Stoic journal. This isn't just a regular diary where you vent emotions. It's a tool to cultivate wisdom and self-awareness. How to practice Stoic journaling. Morning reflection. What challenges might arise today? Are there situations that could make you anxious or frustrated? How can you prepare your mindset to handle them? Evening reflection. What thoughts arose today? How did you react to them? What could you have done differently? For example, if you felt discouraged by criticism, write this. "I felt frustrated when my colleague said I wasn't working fast enough. But that's just my interpretation. I can choose a different perspective. This is an opportunity to improve my skills." Double quotes. By recording your thoughts, you create distance between yourself and them. You're no longer trapped in automatic reactions. You can analyze and adjust your perspective objectively. At first, observing your thoughts may feel challenging. We are so used to being carried away by emotions. But with daily practice, you'll notice a remarkable shift. You'll no longer be controlled by negative emotions. You'll realize that negative thoughts are just products of the mind, not absolute truths. You'll have the ability to choose how to respond, rather than letting your mind dictate your actions. Just like physical training, mental training requires patience and continuous practice. But once you learn to observe and master your thoughts, your mind will no longer be your enemy. It will become your most powerful ally. Step 2. Distinguish between what you control and what you don't. Imagine standing in the middle of a storm. The wind howls, the rain pours relentlessly, and the sky darkens. What can you do? You could scream angrily at the storm, blaming the weather for ruining your plans. But will that change anything? Absolutely not. The storm will continue regardless of how much you complain or worry. The only thing you truly have control over is your reaction. You can prepare better, bring a raincoat, find a safe shelter. Continue your journey without letting the storm break your spirit. Now apply this principle to your daily life. You can't control others, but you can control yourself. When someone insults you, can you control what they say? No, but you can control how you respond. You can. Get angry and retaliate. Let their words affect your emotional state. Remain calm and refuse to be disturbed. Sometimes silence is the most powerful response. The power of non-reaction. Imagine you're in an important meeting. A colleague openly criticizes you in front of everyone. Their tone is challenging, waiting for your reaction. All eyes are on you. If you immediately retaliate, argue, show frustration, you are playing right into their hands. But instead, what if you pause? Stay composed and simply observe them with a calm and wavering gaze. What happens next? That silence denies them what they seek your reaction. They begin to feel unsettled. They question whether they were wrong. They wonder if they crossed a line. When you refuse to be drawn into the emotional games of others, you not only protect your inner peace, but you also demonstrate immense strength. The key to freedom: accepting what you can't control. Life is full of situations beyond our control. The weather, the past, other people's thoughts, even the impermanence of life itself. But what we can control is our attitude toward these events. Ask yourself, can I change this situation? If yes, take action. Can I not change it? If no, let it go, letting go of regret and worry. Have you ever thought, I wish I had done things differently? Regret is one of the greatest enemies of the mind. But can you turn back time? No. So why let your mind stay trapped in the past? Learn to accept that you cannot change what has happened, but you can learn from it. You can grow. You can become better. Similarly, worrying about the future is another form of futile control. Can you control every outcome? No, but you can prepare. You can plan ahead. You can adapt when things change. The power of preparation over worry. Imagine you have an important presentation tomorrow. You could lose sleep worrying about all the ways it could go wrong. Imagine every possible failure scenario. Let anxiety consume you. Or you could prepare. You could practice your speech. You could focus on what you can control, your preparation and mindset. And when the time comes, you face it head on, knowing you have done your best. Your mind is your greatest strength. The moment you stop wasting energy on things beyond your control, you will feel lighter and no longer trapped by anxiety and no longer a prisoner of regret. You will direct your energy toward what truly matters, because your mind is not your enemy. But if you don't learn to manage it, it can become your prison. The first step to freedom? Letting go of what you can't control and focusing on what you can. Step 3. Convert negative thinking into Stoic thinking. Imagine this scenario. You're about to face an important challenge, a presentation, an interview, or a new opportunity, but right before that crucial moment, your mind whispers, "What if I fail?" This thought strikes like lightning, paralyzing the confidence you've built. It paints the worst-case scenario, filling you with doubt, fear, and hesitation. But take a moment to realize something. The only thing happening right now is your mind projecting a situation that hasn't even occurred. If you let these thoughts take control, you will lose the opportunity before it even begins, reframing your mindset. Now, let's try a different approach. Instead of thinking, "I will fail," ask yourself, "What can I learn from this experience?" Double quotes. Do you see the difference? One thought is driven by anxiety and fear. The other is driven by growth and control. Thomas Edison, who failed thousands of times before inventing the light bulb, once said, "I didn't fail, I just found 10,000 ways that don't work." Think about that. An average person might give up after 10 or even 50 failures, but Edison kept going through more than 10,000 attempts. What does this mean? It means failure isn't real, only learning is. You cannot lose if you keep getting back up. You cannot fail if you see each setback as an opportunity to improve. How to practice this mindset? The key is observing and redefining your thoughts when a negative thought appears. 1. Don't accept it immediately. To pause and question it. Is this really as bad as I think? Is there a more productive way to view this? If Marcus Aurelius or Seneca were in my position, what would they think? Above all, remember, your thoughts are not you, they are just waves passing through the ocean of your mind. But you are not the waves, you are the captain, steering the ship. A powerful exercise, the Stoic Journal. Another way to train your mind is by keeping a Stoic journal. Write down situations that made you anxious, analyze whether they were truly as bad as they seemed, reframe them with a Stoic perspective. Try this now. Recall a negative thought you had in the past week, rewrite it from a Stoic perspective, turn it into a lesson or an opportunity. Now that you know how to observe and transform your thoughts, how can you apply these principles consistently in daily life? This leads us to Step 4. Practicing Stoicism daily. This is where philosophy is no longer just in books. A T becomes a part of who you are. Every day, your mind is flooded with thoughts, emotions, and experiences. If you don't pause to reflect, you will be swept away by the endless flow of life. This is exactly why Marcus Aurelius, one of Rome's greatest emperors, kept a daily journal, not to boast, but to remind himself of life's lessons. How to apply Stoicism daily. 1. The evening reflection. Every night before bed, write down 3 things you learned that day. It could be a small lesson in patience while waiting in line, a new realization about how people behave, a moment when you noticed yourself reacting impulsively. Be why writing it down. You are forced to confront your own thoughts. You are no longer a passive victim of life's current. You become an observer, an analyst, growing wiser each day. Your mind is no longer your enemy. It becomes your teacher. 2. The power of memento mori. Remember, you'll die. At first. This might sound grim, but in reality, it is one of the most powerful tools to master your mind. Why should you remember this? Because only when you are aware of life's brevity do you truly live. Imagine this. If today were your last day, would you still dwell on negative thoughts? Worry about meaningless problems? Care about the judgmental glances of others? Or would you cherish every moment, love more deeply, live with purpose and presence, bringing Stoicism to life? Practicing Stoicism daily isn't about being emotionless. It's about being in control of your mind instead of letting your mind control you. It's about recognizing negative thoughts and reframing them, focusing only on what you can control, learning from each day and growing stronger, because in the end, you don't need to control the world. You only need to control yourself. Now, here's your challenge. Share a moment when you let go of something beyond your control. How did it feel? What did you learn? Drop your thoughts in the comments below and stay tuned for the final step where Stoicism becomes not just a philosophy, but a way of life. Are you ready? Step 5. Practice Stoicism daily and live with awareness. Every morning, take a minute to remind yourself. Life is finite. How will you use it today? When you live with this awareness, your mind will no longer be an enemy or a skeptic. It will be an ally, a guide, leading you in the right direction. Embrace discomfort to build resilience. We often seek comfort when it's cold. We seek warmth when we face challenges. We want to retreat. But constant comfort weakens the mind. It makes the mind panic when faced with the unexpected. Stoicism teaches us to step into discomfort willingly. To train our minds, start small. Take cold showers instead of warm ones to build resilience. Fast for a few hours to experience hunger and realize that you control your needs, not the other way around. Push yourself beyond your physical limits and exercise to see that you are stronger than you think. Live minimally for a day each week. No social media, no unnecessary spending. To understand that you don't need much to be happy. Building strength through small challenges. These small challenges teach you something important. You are stronger than you think. When you voluntarily embrace hardship, your mind learns that it doesn't need to fear life's challenges. And when real difficulties come, a crisis, a loss, or failure, you'll be ready. The process of mastering the mind. No change happens overnight. Mastering the mind is not a magic trick, it is a process. Here's the daily routine. Write in your journal to observe your thoughts. Remind yourself that life is short and shouldn't be wasted on meaningless things. Train yourself through small challenges to build a resilient mind. Slowly, patiently, you will realize something powerful. Your mind no longer controls you. You've mastered it. And when you master your mind, you master your life, reflection, and action. We've explored how the mind can become our greatest enemy if we fail to control it, but we've also seen that, when properly trained, it becomes our most powerful ally, helping us live a calm and steadfast life. Stoicism is not just an ancient philosophy. It's a practical guide to mastering your thoughts, breaking free from negative loops, focusing on what truly matters. Pause for a moment and ask yourself, how many times a day do I get caught up in useless thoughts? How often does my mind make me anxious, angry, or fearful without any real benefit? If your answer is too many, now is the time to take action. Your first step. Practice a Stoic exercise today. Observe your thoughts like an outsider. Remember, you are not your thoughts. You are the one who decides whether to let them control you or not. If you found this content helpful, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, so you won't miss future videos on philosophy and how to apply it to everyday life. Now, choose one of the recommended videos on the screen. I'm sure it will help you take another step toward mastering your mind.